Today I'm going to show you the tutorials and courses that I took when I was learning React for the first time. This is about maybe a year and a half ago now. I've sort of had, I guess, about 6 months sort of web development experience learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And obviously when it came to sort of trying to learn a framework, obviously I focused on React because you don't just have to look at the job market, and certainly here in the UK, React came on top of Angular and Vue, and sort of any others at the time as well. So yeah, that actually set me in good stead because I currently work in React commercially, or professionally, should I say. But yeah, I thought I'd show you the courses, and some of the videos as well on YouTube that I watched, just to get me up and going with React. And then yeah, before I started building my own projects, obviously I was following tutorials and had to sort of learn a lot of the syntax. It obviously is JavaScript at the end of the day, but there's a lot of bits that in React that you certainly would need to learn, sort of to be professional and sort of ready, job ready, I guess. So yeah, I thought I'd start with the first course that I took, which was this Learn React for Free on Scrimba.com. If you haven't come across Scrimba, it's a great website, or sort of learning platform. I know they've got a number of free courses as well as sort of their paid plan, and yeah, it's really quite cool because it's kind of different to any other coding sites that I've certainly seen, where you kind of have interactive coding challenges within the videos itself. So what you can do is actually pause the video. Maybe if I go to one of these lessons here, you'll be able to see that the actual screen here is the video, and the instructor here, which was it Bob Zirell, will be talking, but at any point you can pause this and it turns actually into an IDE, if you saw that. So let me actually start the video, and he's going on and explaining a bit about React, but I can go in here and change this hello world to hello Chris. You can edit that, and obviously you can sort of run it, you can save it, and then if you want you can go back to the video and keep going. So obviously as you're going through, he does recommend to pause the video and actually sort of code it out, and you don't have to do that in another environment. It's really quite cool. It's all done in browser, which I think is quite neat. So yeah, as I said, this was 11 hours 50 minutes, although I believe actually I did the previous version, or like the original one. I believe this was updated perhaps last year, the actual course itself. So let me just go back. But yeah, it was a good course because it introduced you to not only class-based components, but the newer functional-based ones as well. And I think it actually started with class-based and then got you to refactor them, which is really handy. And not that I've had to do that sort of in my current role. We've always used functional components, but I do know if you're perhaps working in a more legacy React code base, you might actually, when you come across a class-based component, if it makes sense to, would be to change that. So I'm just trying to find the course again here. As you can see, I've done a number of them on Scrimba and actually got introduced to it through JavaScriptmas 2020. So that's when I was sort of about 6 months in, still learning JavaScript. And yeah, the JavaScriptmas 2020 was the point where I realized I actually don't know JavaScript at all, because I think even just the first challenge, obviously on the 1st of December, was really difficult for me. But keep going back, and I think I could do all of those now, and that might be a good challenge actually. And sort of the next one they do, I think I missed last year's, so I'll definitely try and check out if they do a similar thing for this year in December. But yeah, here's the Learn React, and you can see you're in good stead. Sort of over 180,000 other people have taken the course, or at least started, and just as you can see inside now the new one, we build a React info site. You can build an Airbnb experiences clone, a meme generator, and then a notes app and a Tenzies game. So there's a lot of content here, and I think you'll just be learning and reinforcing all of the patterns that come with React, all the hooks and everything like that. But yeah, the actual instructor is really good, and you can see this is a intermediate level course. I definitely would recommend, as you probably know, to learn sort of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, specifically JavaScript, sort of relatively well before diving into React. It will only help you out in the long term. Obviously, as I said, because it's based on React, or you're basically writing JavaScript, sorry, in React. The more JavaScript you know and sort of how it all works, that will definitely benefit your React applications. Cool. So after that, I think I then, and obviously mentioned this before, Alvin the Programmer is one of my top 5 coding channels that I was learning certainly JavaScript from. After that whole series, he released a Learn React in One project, and it was really good as well. So let me just mute this and play a little bit, and you'll see here what we'll be building. If I just go to perhaps the end, is this file system. So you can see here it's really quite a simple app, but you're learning, sort of props, how to use state, how to do some dynamic rendering, handle clicks, using class name rather than class, for example, like the real low-level basics to get this to show. But yeah, again, it's a great sort of introduction tutorial. And this was released in June 2020, and it's all pretty much up to date. And certainly all of the other tutorials that I recommend, have been released in the last few years. So they're all well worth checking out. What I'll do is I'll leave a link to all of these as well in the description box below if you want to check them out. But yeah, definitely recommend this guy. It's a quick sort of 43-minute video. I think I coded along, or you can just watch it, and sort of just gain that knowledge as this guy's coding. So next one, of course, free code camp. So I think at this point I had done the now legacy responsive web design and JavaScript algorithm certificates, but I I guess left it when it got to the front end development libraries. I think I might have done Bootstrap, and then I thought, well, jQuery, I maybe don't need to learn that, but I did do Sass. Obviously, as you can see, I've since gone back and taken that course. But yeah, I didn't go on to React because I believe they use a lot of the maybe there was some class-based components and some other stuff, and it just seems a little bit out of date compared to the tutorials, which I'll show you later, that I was watching. I have gone back and since done them just to make sure my knowledge is all up to date, and I think any sort of learning or training that you do, whether it's in video, obviously sort of in the editor or in the browser with Scrimba and Free Code Camp, it's all beneficial, and just helps at the end of the day. But yeah, I left them for now, and again with the Redux and React and Redux, those 2 courses, I did that when I was perhaps learning a bit more about state management and needing to get some knowledge on those things. So the next one I did then was Mike Dane. You might know from, otherwise he's obviously on Free Code Camp channel actually quite a bit, the YouTube channel. I think he had a company called Giraffe Academy, but yeah, he teaches a lot and sort of has these long or intro to X programming language videos. This one was React in 3.5 hours, and again, I don't think we're building too much as we go through, but he's sort of explaining different bits and pieces with props and use state, just how to dynamically render, and obviously passing data down through components, obviously the sort of the way you can do it in React. You can see here there's some use effects and some other bits, but at the end of the day, as I said, it's just JavaScript, and you're sort of just more learning about React as a library or framework, whatever you want to call it, and sort of how they run things and operate. But yeah, it was a really good course, and if you can stick through it and try and code along as well, it's sort of even better, and you get your 3.5 hours worth, probably double fold over that. So the one after that, I then did the full React tutorial on NetNinja, and I think I obviously had completed his JavaScript one and some others as I was getting up and going. But you can see here, you literally learn React from the ground up. So again, it was JSX, components, events, hooks, React router, handling asynchronous code, all of that. And again, this is stuff that I use all the time, sort of have to have knowledge of now. But again, this was released in December 2020, and it came at a perfect time for me because I guess I'd gone through a couple of React tutorials, but the reason I think I like the NetNinja is that certainly he really dumbs it down for you. And yeah, it was good to go through this whole course, and I think there's a number of videos within there, and yeah, you sort of learn sort of step by step with each video. So again, you can break it up, you don't have to watch it all at once. That was a really good course to take, and if you know any of the NetNinja stuff, he sort of really does sort of hold your hand, but you're learning the whole time as you're going through. And if you can code along whilst he's doing it, and pause whilst he's explaining, and sort of really understand everything, that'll probably set you up for success. So The next one was one more course that I did, and this was a React course in now July 21 when it was released, and it's 10 plus hours by this guy called TechBase. It's a relatively smaller channel with sort of, almost 6,000 subscribers at the time of recording here, but it's an incredible resource, and I think you'll see my comments either sort of as we go through or at the end, and you can see I've watched all the videos, and it really breaks down basically everything to do with React. And as you can see here, we've got forms, data fetching, React router, state management, using Redux, using React query, there's styling options. You really do learn sort of everything. So it's not just, let's say, one styling option. I think he covers all of them, and testing as well, which is probably something I need to look back on. I think that's one of my goals for the next 12 months is to get better at React testing library and Jest. So yeah, I will be revisiting these, but I'd say this is the sort of the course that I found the most value in actually. It's probably because I obviously had already done a couple at this point, I, was understanding React a bit more, but this really set everything in stone sort of piece by piece, sort of just the different ways. And he even uses TypeScript as well, which I think was quite rare at the time. I hadn't come across TypeScript. And now I use that every single day. Don't write JavaScript, it's all TypeScript and then compiled. So yeah, it's a great course. I highly recommend this one. And again, I'll leave the link to this in the description box below. And then finally, I think around the same time, or when I was still actually probably learning, some more HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and trying to create actual websites. So there's kind of the side where you're learning, and then also you want to be building projects and websites, and actually sort of putting your skills to the test. And that's when I came across this guy called Brian Design, which again was one of my top 5 YouTube channels to follow. But he has a number of React website builds. So if I just put in React here, we should be able to just search all of them on the channel, I think. Just loading, but there you go. But you can see a number of different React website tutorials, all for beginners. And these are really good as well, because I think the guy was learning to code at the same time. So, he goes through things sort of really slowly. And because he was a designer before, I think, as I mentioned in the other video, the actual designs are really quite nice. Just as an example, looking at this, it's good to learn for sure. But it's not going to be something you'd want to put on your portfolio, for example. Whereas these ones, perhaps, yeah, you could do if you sort of change them up a little bit. And as you can see, he has, I think here, 27 React tutorials, and I think all of them are pretty much projects. And yeah, I've taken a number of them and really recommend him if you're sort of beginner and just learning React and actually want to start, let's say, creating websites with it. Again, there was kind of a disconnect between learning React and then actually thinking how you can, build a website with that, or use it as you would in the real world. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out some of these. As you can see here, one of these videos has 1 million views, just a year ago. So a lot of people have watched them. You probably might recognize this site then on other people's portfolios or have seen it around if they've copied it. I know this was one that I obviously watched and followed along, or coded along with. And yeah, they're just great videos to get up to speed with React in terms of actually building an application. So yeah, that's kind of it for sort of the top React resources that I used when I was learning. And yeah, if you've got any others, feel free to drop them in the link below and I'd be happy to check them out. I'm continually learning React, there's lots of updates with React 18 and all of that, so just need to keep on top of things. And I guess one more resource that I didn't mention was obviously the React docs, which I believe are in beta for sort of the new version, using functional components, and I think there'll just be a big refresh. So very excited to have a look at those when they actually go live with all the content. I think I've checked out a little bit so far about what's going on there, but yeah, I'll probably do a review once I've reviewed all of the content, and I think they'll have some tutorials and the classic like tic-tac-toe game or something else like that as they currently do, and yeah, I'll check that out and just make sure that my React skills are up to date as well as per the docs, because you kind of want to be following the best practices and the new standards that are set. And certainly in the the software development industry at web dev, things change so quickly. And even sort of in my 2 years of experience, a lot has changed already. As you can see with class-based, moving to functional, and I guess, different ways to manage state and all of that. So really exciting to keep on top of. And as I said, if you follow these tutorials, you'll certainly be well on your way to learning React and just building and start building with it. So yeah, good luck and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.